Hello and a warm welcome back to the channel of nonsense and the all new for 2024 Skoda Kodiaq, which is a really significant car if you're looking for a 7-seater SUV in 2024. It follows on from the brand new Skoda Superb, which I filmed a couple of months ago. It continues Skoda's upmarket confident streak. I think at the moment they've got all the confidence of my 3-year-old waking me up at 2 AM this morning saying, "There's an evil penguin in my bedroom." Thanks, Wallace and Gromit. But anyway, in this video, I'm going to be reviewing this car here in Abu Dhabi to tell you if it's a grand day out or if it puts me in the wrong trousers, which are currently very wet on this beach in the Emirates. Maybe. Anyway, let's go before I get blown away. Right, it's another day. We've driven up from the beaches of Abu Dhabi to this fjord just outside Bergen, or Ireland if you're not lying. But let's talk numbers about the new Kodiaq. It costs from £36,600 for an entry-level SE model with 5 seats. But 90% of Kodiaq buyers in the UK buy the 7-seat option. That adds £860. There's only 2 trim levels. This is the top spec SEL one, which starts from £40,000, and you can spend up to 46 grand on one of these now if you pick the all singing, all dancing 2-litre diesel with 193 horsepower and 4x4. This is a more sensible 1.5 litre petrol. This one's about £42,000 with options, and it's in this new, I think it's called Bronx green or gold or something. It looks a bit meh in photos, but in the sun, when we get some, it really pops and makes this car look very, well, very premium, really. And I filmed this back in the studio last year, but now in the flesh, in the rain out here in wherever I've said we are, Sweden, Ireland, wherever, it's really nice. And you can get it with Skoda's light-up grille. I wouldn't bother, it's a bit chintzy. You get LED matrix headlights on this SEL version. You get normal LEDs on the entry-level SE model. I think it looks pretty posh, and I think it looks a darn sight nicer than the new Tiguan with its plastic misting up bit on the front. Now, because Skoda originates from Czechia, or Czech Republic, whatever we're calling it this week, they've got a rich history of Bohemian cut crystal glass. So whenever you go as a journalist on a Skoda launch, they'll talk about the crystal design elements. Except these, if you look on the Skoda UK brochure at the moment, they say they've got crystallinium elements. Well, they're trying to say crystallinium elements. They've actually made a typo and called them cystallinium elements, but whatever. They look better than any cysts that I've seen. And they're very bright at night as well in the driving rain here in Zimbabwe. Now, the Kodiaq's always been Skoda's flagship SUV with 3 rows of seats, which means it's quite long. This one has got longer. It's about 6 centimetres longer than the old Kodiaq. 4.75 metres now, so you've got more rear seat space and 3rd row space. It weighs between about 1.6 and 1.8 tonnes, depending on whether you pick a petrol engine, a diesel engine, or a plug-in hybrid. Comes on 18-inch wheels as standard. This SEL comes on 19s. And if you get the SEL, it's worth pointing out that you've got this, what they want me to call unique dark chrome, or UDC finish on various bits like the Skoda badge and this. It's not unique if you've made an acronym for it. Now, it's around the back end where the Kodiaq has taken most of its changes. You've got this light bar across here, you've got the new Skoda logo with the little hat built into the S rather than sitting on top of it. It can tow between 1.8 and 2.4 tonnes, depending on which powertrain you pick. SEL models get swooping, dynamic, what we used to call Audi indicators, which look quite cool. Now, this is a 7-seater version. Like this, as you see it here, with 7 seats up, you've got 340 litres of boot space here, which is still 40 less than a Volkswagen Golf has, so it's still a reusable size. Sorry, I've got a picnic blanket and my overnight bag in there for scale, not just because I'm lazy. Now, you can flip these seats down in the 7-seater, and now, 845 litres of space. It's a big boot. Now, if you get the 5-seater, you actually get a bit more. It's over 900 litres of space. And if you flip all of them down, over 2,000 litres of space. But it's quite a clever space as well. For example, you have got an adjustable boot floor, which you can flip up and have a divider, or that stays out of your way. The load cover, aka parcel shelf, if you're old like me, that fits under there as well, so you don't have to throw it in a hedge like Carwow will probably do in their video. You've got remote seat folding things for the middle row here. And it's basically my dream car for taking stuff to the tip. It's got a 12-volt socket as well. I mean, if you're after a family wagon for big road trips with loads of stuff, yeah, get one of these. Electric boot as well. This is what the new Kodiaq's cabin looks like. It looks much like the one from the new Superb that I filmed earlier this year. It's got Volkswagen Group's latest 13-inch touchscreen, which, as I've covered before, it's got wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. It's really nice to use, really straightforward. The built-in sat-nav is good, and you can add shortcut buttons at the top to various features, which is just really handy. And I know people say it looks like an iPad stuck on the dashboard, but it's big, it's bright, and it works well for me. You also get a digital dashboard as standard, and you also get a 2-spoke steering wheel. I like it when Skoda does that. And one of the best features of this, being a 2024 model car, it's going to have a speed limit warning, which resets every time you turn the car off and on, but you can quickly turn it off just by pressing this button here, and then pressing something on the digital dashboard. So it's 2 presses to stop the bong of doom. Other key features, which I really like, Skoda has given us common sense, basically, and they've given us physical temperature knobs down here. We saw these in the Superb. They're really, really good, but they're multifunction, so it can control the heated seats. There's also a cooled seat option on this car as well, and then this middle one can do your fans. It can do where the fans blow, and it can do volume, and it can do your map zoom. You can customize what that shows, and this one is exactly the same, but for the passenger. Now down here, sorry, excuse all the rubbish, I'm doing a bit of a road trip in this car. There's 2 wireless chargers down there, which are cooled, so your passenger can charge their phone as well without having to plug in. But you have got 2 USB-Cs there, cup holders, a big water bottle, loads of storage, which I have used. It's full of Skoda sweets. This is called the Jumbo Box. It's a big black hole for losing things in, which is really handy. And like the old Kodiaq, you've got 2 glove boxes. So you've got a little one up there and a big one down there. Door bins are felt lined in the front, but not in the back, and they're huge. I like the metal door handles, they're very nice. SCL gets this, I don't know, slightly funny Hessian look grey plastic across the dash, but there are a ton of different interior look options, including some cognac leather and some grey and yellow suede, or grey suede with yellow piping, which looks quite smart. This one's kind of almost got baseball stitching across the dashboard, so it looks and feels nice, feels high tech. And it's just, you know, a really well thought out cabin. This one's got the optional head-up display, by the way. I think that's about 500 quid there. And it's a proper head-up display that shows you your sat-nav directions and everything. It projects them into the windscreen. I also like you've got a frameless rear view mirror as well, which looks super posh. And what's this? You've got a sunglass holder up there. So yeah, a very, very well thought out cabin. You've got an umbrella in the door as well, like on a Rolls-Royce, or on a Skoda, I think Rolls-Royce says on a Skoda. You've got an upgraded Canton sound system option, which gives you 14 speakers. You don't get the heated seats as standard, I should point out. They come as part of the winter pack. And yeah, otherwise, it's a very nice cabin. Rear seat space in the new Kodiaq is just outstanding. It's not quite up there with the new Superb, but look, I've got loads of headroom, loads of knee room, loads of foot room, and I'm quite big. I'm 6'3". I've got loads of storage space there. I've got a little thing for my phone there. I've got 2 USB-Cs at 12 volt. I've got aircon back here, big door bins, which, as I've said, aren't lined with felt back here, but this is super comfortable, and they also recline and slide as well, so you can give yourself even more room. And actually, when it's reclined, it's really comfy. But it is missing a few features from the new Superb, such as the option to have flip-out headrests, things on the side of the headrest, if that makes sense. Headrests on the headrests. The Superb's got little things that flip out, like on a plane, so you can fall asleep without going sideways. But yeah, the middle armrest is big. It's got cup holders, but they're not where your elbow rests, so you don't get plastics jamming into you. There is a bit of a transmission tunnel in the middle of the floor. So your middle seat passenger, they've got a wide seat, but they've got a bit of a hump to contend with. Is that a problem? Now it's time for the part of the video I like to call Ritual Humiliation of the Bald Man, where I try to fit in the 3rd row. I've actually slid this seat forward a bit, so they haven't got much leg room, but that's the only way in hell I'm going to fit back here. Let's see. Oh yeah, I'm in. That's down, yeah. Haven't got much headroom. I've got a bit of knee room and I've got foot room, but it's not very comfortable, to be honest, and no one can really use this seat because it slid so far forward. Now, I have tested this. I've slid this back so a human adult can actually sit there, and there's no way in hell that I fit back here. But I've got a little oddments tray here. There's a cup holder here. It's okay. It's really an occasional seat for children, but there's no Isofix or anything back here, so you can't fit a child seat. But yeah, oh no, I'm stuck forever. Not the best, not the worst, but hey, who uses the 3rd row of seats for adults? Unless you're mad. Ah, my testicles. Right, let's go for a drive in the new Skoda Kodiaq. Excuse me doing this lots. I've stopped, got out of the car, and all of Ireland, Sweden's midges have descended on me. But anyway, you put your foot on the brake, you twist it into D, like you do in the new Superb, the new Tiguan, the new Passat, and then you just go. Right, let's talk about visibility, because this is a big car, obviously, but the visibility out is pretty decent. It's got enough windows at the back corners that your blind spots aren't massive. And even though I'm on some tiny, narrow, twisty roads up here in the Ring of Kerry, yes, I'm in Ireland, it doesn't feel too big. And I've been down some properly like twisty roads with oncoming vans and lorries, and it's never felt like a handful, like something like a Volvo XC90 or an Audi Q7 could if you're shopping for more expensive seven-seaters. Yeah, how does it drive? Well, it's fairly Skoda-ish in that it does nothing exceptionally well in the drive. It's just competent, it's grippy enough, and it's reassuring enough. What I would say though is this SEL model on its big 19-inch wheels, the ride isn't that settled over bumpy roads, around town, even at speed as well. There's just almost a constant pattering. You don't get annoyed by it, but I wish it was just a bit spongier and softer. The Superb rides better, as tends to be the case. The estate version of a similarly sized car tends to ride better because it's less heavy. Right, let's talk about engines. It's a fairly straightforward lineup with a decent amount of choice. There's a 1.5 petrol with 150 horsepower. That's this one. It's a bit thrashy when you rev it out. I've been getting about 36, 40 mpg. It's okay, but personally I'd go for one of the diesels. There's a 2 litre with 150 horsepower. And if you want four-wheel drive, there's a 2-litre diesel with 193 horsepower. And that actually gets a slightly bigger fuel tank as well, 61 litres in that. I think it's 57.5 in the rest, for what it's worth. And then there's a plug-in hybrid, 204 horsepower. That uses a 1.5 litre petrol engine. It's also got quite a big battery, so it can do about 70 miles, they say, on a charge. And it can fast charge at 40 kilowatts, so you can charge it in about 20 minutes on one of those chargers. But yeah, you can't get that as a 7-seater, only as a 5-seater. So yeah, I'll just go for a diesel. Diesel suit big SUVs. I wouldn't go fancy. If you do lots of short town trips, get the 1.5 petrol. It's just a bit, it's not very fast. This petrol is 150. I don't expect lightning performance from a family SUV, but 0-62 time of just under 10 seconds. It's on the genteel side of things, put it that way. Other things to note, you don't get adaptive cruise control as standard. It's part of a pack for about £800. But otherwise, there's nothing really bad to report about the way this drives. The refinement is decent. There's not too much wind or tyre noise at higher speeds. The steering is accurate. The gearbox does pretty much what you need it to, and you can always flick it in S mode if it is being a dim-witted. Okay, I'm actually in a different Kodiaq now. This one has got a different engine and some choice options which are important to talk about. So the engine in this one is the 2-litre diesel with 193 horsepower and the 4-wheel drive system, and it is a much better match for this car than the 1.5 litre petrol. It's just got way more torque, it makes less of a meal of getting up to speed, it doesn't drone as loudly either. I would say probably the 150 horsepower diesel is a better bet for most people. This one's going to be a bit less economical. I've been getting 38 mpg out of this, but I didn't want to talk about the engine specifically, although performance is noticeably better in this in terms of overtaking power. This car's got the performance pack, and the performance pack gives you adaptive chassis control, so you can soften and firm up the suspension, but it also gives you driving modes. You don't get driving modes as standard in Kodiaq, which I quite like because I think they're a bit of a frippery and a bit unnecessarily in a family SUV. But yeah, this one has them, so you can put it in sport mode and it stiffens the suspension up. But most importantly, you can put it in comfort or individual mode, and then you can configure the suspension to be very soft or very firm or somewhere in the middle. And there's a sliding scale on the screen that you can do that with. But even in their most comfortable setting, it doesn't fully fix the jittery ride. It is better, it's noticeably better, but around town you still feel the sharp edges of some bumps more than I wish you did. It's not awful, and it's about on a par with most other SUVs, but I think it could still be cushier. So yeah, the adaptive dampers, worth having. Don't fully fix the problem though. Now there's also one other niggle with the Kodiaq, which I'm not a big fan of. So I'm using CarPlay, as you can see with Google Maps on it. Now, if I twist any of these knobs, so the temperature one, maybe, the screen goes black and it shows you that you've changed the temperature. That's great. Can't you overlay that on CarPlay? I don't know, they don't seem to be able to do it. If I change the driving mode, the screen goes black to say that I've put it into snow mode or whatever. It's just a bit annoying that you lose the content on the screen when you twist your knob. Kind of the opposite of my usual problem. Now, while I'm in this car, I've put it in sport mode, so you've got the stiffest suspension, the most urgent gearbox, and I'm on a reasonably twisty bit of road, and there's remarkably little body lean when you go around corners. It can corner really flat with these adaptive dampers on, and it's not necessarily enjoyable, but you can go down here at 60 miles an hour and you don't feel like you're going to fall out of your seat or go off the side of the road. It's grippy, it's assured, it's kind of handles much like the old Kodiaq really in that regard. It's decent. That's all boring to talk about. Let's head back to me, maybe on a dock, for some sort of conclusion. Wow, it's really stunning here. I can't get over how beautiful Ireland is. Do you think they're accepting bald immigrants right now? Gonna get an Irish passport. I don't drink Guinness though. It's the only thing. Okay, it's time to sum up my thoughts on the new 2024 Skoda Kodiaq. Has Skoda messed up their flagship SUV? No, it's still a car that I will recommend to anyone that's got a family and wants a big, reasonably affordable SUV. Now, obviously, it's not as affordable as before. Everything has got more expensive. Starting from 36.5 grand, it's not a cheap Skoda anymore, but Skoda doesn't feel like a cheap brand anymore. It's gone up market inside. The tech works really well. It feels premium, it feels nice. I prefer it inside the new Tiguan. In fact, I'd massively prefer it as a car to the new Volkswagen Tiguan. There's a review somewhere on the channel of that car, but it still does all the important things really well. Massive boot, loads of rear seat space, slightly cramped third row, but that's always been the case. It is better than before. Get it with a diesel engine would be my advice. I don't really like the 1.5 petrol in an SUV. It's too thrashy, not fast enough, not efficient enough. Just get the 150 horsepower diesel and you'll be fine. Or the plug-in hybrid, which is now an option. So yeah, well done Skoda. You still made a 9.5 Tim Roadies out of a 10 kind of a car, because that's what I'm giving it. I knock half star off for the ride being a little bit firm. But anyway, if you made it this far through all my kind of slightly knackered waffling, thank you. Like this video if you could, subscribe to the channel, go down to the comments, leave me the Irish word for bloody hell. Ireland is an amazingly beautiful country full of really friendly people and midges. But yeah, I can't wait to come back. What a place. But the car's good too. Even if I was driving it in rainy old Surrey, I would say the same thing. Don't worry. But anyway, waffle, 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 goodbye, you've switched off. Go and check out my OnlyFans at Rim Toady or something.